Go ahead again.
Yeah, I would just ask you what you guys are working on for this week's opponent.
Well, we play South Carolina State first, so we were off yesterday. So we'll be fully locked into improving the things that we need to get better at from Saturday night. Locking into South Carolina State. It's a shorter type of week because we can't use Saturday as an off day, even though it's a travel day. So we have to use that as a practice day. And so we took yesterday off. We'll practice today, play tomorrow, practice Wednesday, Thursday, play Friday, practice Saturday, leave. So we just have to adjust it like that. But everything today will be focused on what we need to do to improve and get ready for tomorrow night.
Hey, Tom, good to see you today. Ask you about Noah just a little bit. A guy who had never been to Athens before. I know you've spoken before about with the COVID situation, you're not really getting to meet players until they get to school themselves. But just about that, just kind of what he's brought to the team so far.
Well, I'm proud of him, and I'm really happy about. I'm excited for him for what he was able to do yesterday. I know how proud he was. We talked about it in the late morning, and he gave me the heads up, and I was really, really proud of him. Yeah, he's a very mature young man. He's very hungry. He's very driven. He's in an all-time high group of guys I've coached of utilizing that gym way beyond what's required of him. And certainly in our time here at Georgia, and we have a lot of guys that are in that boat this year. For year 4, this is by far the most guys we've had that spend extra time at the game. And we've had some that are in and out. We've had some that have talked about it in the past, but they weren't always in there like these guys are. And I think it makes a difference. And I think Noah is a guy that just, he's a perfectionist. He's learning what we want from him. He's learning that he's capable of more. At the same time, we want him ready to shoot and be able to knock down shots. We've got to continue to figure out ways to utilize him even more. And I think we will. And he's an outstanding young man.
Okay, next we're going to go to Mark Weiser, and then we're going to go to Sloan.
Tom, I want to ask you, you guys announced last week the signing of JT Elder. I want to ask you what you guys liked about him as a player you wanted in your program, and with some of the changes on your coaching staff, maybe how the dynamic impacts recruiting as you guys look to add quality players in the future.
Well, I think everybody on your coaching staff has got to have a recruiting mindset, and we have that now. Even with the addition of David Gale, I mean, he's got a recruiting mindset, and they want to evaluate players. They want to do the legwork that goes into it. I think it's really, really important, and we've tried to take advantage of the way the rules have allowed us to do that. There's still only 3 coaches that are on the road to recruit, but the way the rules are right now, everybody can have a hand in it. As far as JT, when I looked at where he was a year ago to where he was body-wise right now, it was a no-brainer. I mean, he doesn't even look like the same person. He was basically 6'4", 175 a year ago. And now he's 6'7", probably pushing 200. I see not quite the leg strength yet that OG Anunoby had in his lower body, but I see that type of balance that he has. And that's one of the things that separated OG was not just his strength, but his balance of being able to guard different people. I see that in JT. He's got some very, very quick twitch mechanics in the sense that he can drive the ball, he can make a pass. There were so many upside things to him, that he didn't have to gather to go up. He didn't have to slow down to make a pass. His shot is improving. I think it'll get better and better. He's well coached. I like his story. I think he's overcome a lot. I think when you have somebody that has had responsibility in life and they have had adversity in life, not just going on a 3-game losing streak adversity or not playing enough on their AAU team adversity, but like real life adversity. And when you've had to deal with that, I think that's a big sign of where you have to be right now as a program, because there's so many changes, and it's very, very hard for somebody walking in here into college basketball now with the way the portal is and the way you can be older and have guys that don't have that level of maturity, that haven't had to struggle at some point. And I think JT has, and I love his personality. I think the upside is huge. I think the biggest things, like I mentioned, are the defensive ability with the balance. He can pass the ball, for a bigger wing. He can get to the basket. I think the shot, if I didn't think he could be a very good shooter, we wouldn't have signed him because we're done with that in the sense of especially in your guards and wings that can't make shots. You just can't win enough games without that. And they've got to have a really strong work ethic. And like I mentioned, with our guys, and you've got to be able to not only improve, you got to want to improve. And part of wanting to improve is being in that gym in the morning or at night or on off days where you can really go in there and get work. And I've seen that in him, what he's done back in Arizona too. So we're excited to have him.
Hey, Tom, I really enjoyed the chess match the other night with our 4 perimeter guys around Bridges and them starting a big lineup and then forcing them to have to play small with a great start we got off to in the game. But just kind of talk a little bit about, there's going to be nights that we're going to be undersized, right? Some of our opponents are going to be bigger than us. What are you and your staff working on and driving home and tweaking to get when you are outsized, to be better on the defensive boards and to get your running game going, those kind of things. Just from a defensive perspective, what are you challenging your guys to do to step up on those nights you're going to be
the
in
biggest
those situations?
The biggest thing has got nothing to do with the size, because our guards have got to rebound better. And we've got to do a much better job of our guards blocking out, getting into the lane area. Our best games here have been when we have 5 guys inside the lane area rebounding the ball. And we're not going to the offensive glass the way that it needs to be done. And we're not blocking out the way that it needs to be done. And frankly, that's going to be a differentiator in playing time. I don't think there's any way around it with the games that we have. As far as for the bigger guys or when we have lack of size, we've got to do a great job of mixing up our post defensive coverages. We've got to do a great job of going down and going after the basketball and whether we mix where the double comes from, whether we come off the ball, whatever we do, we're not coming down to just distract. We're coming down to disrupt and take it away. And I think that aggressiveness has got to be there. Tomorrow night with South Carolina State, we'll be extremely challenged on weak side rebounding. And so if we don't have guys that are hitting and getting on that weak side board, it's not going to be good for us. And we can't have that. So really whether you're small or whether you're big, all 5 guys have got to be engaged, not only in the on the ball, off the ball, as you know, but they've got to be really, really engaged when the shot goes up. And I think we've got to be able to mix defenses. I think that's going to be big. I think we're working on that. We're trying to really determine what do these teams want to do with their point guards, and what we don't want to do is overextend on guys that we don't need to overextend on, because one of the worst things that can happen, especially early in the year, until your team figures it out, is you get into an overhelp situation. And we don't want that. We don't want to be overhelping off shooters. We want to control the basketball. We're spending a lot of time on guys figuring out, okay, is he beat or is he not? And if he's not beat, don't overhelp just for the sake of overhelping. Sometimes that can be fake hustle, and we're not looking for that. But bottom line, Mark, with all that being said, we've got to be a more physical team. And I think we're getting there. I mean, from where we were in Charlotte to where we were against Cincinnati in 3 weeks is a night and day difference. And it's just got to keep jumping up like that constantly for us in those areas that we can control. And we talk to these guys a lot about controlling the controllables and how physical you are, how aggressive and aware you are, how you hit people, what your awareness is like off the ball, your ability to see the shot go up, get after the offensive board. That's a big, big thing, because no man's land. And we spend a lot of time on the film talking about what no man's land is, whether it's transition D, whether it's where you're standing on offense. Are you indecisive on being back, getting to the glass? Those type of things. So it's learning. There's no question. It's a learning process for these guys, but they are doing it. And I think we'll get better with it.
Okay, next we're going to go to Chip Towers, and then we're going to round things out with Lance McCurley.
Yeah, Coach, early part of the year, nobody knows what anybody has in terms of a team yet, but Cincinnati, we all know how tough that is a place to play. And I understand it was really cranked up the other night. What are you able to take away from going in there? Obviously you didn't come away with the W, but what y'all were able to do in that type of environment.
Well, I was proud of the way they handled it, because I've been in there when they're selling standing room only tickets and you can't hear yourself think, and it's a Friday night in the middle of the winter, or it's a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night, and it didn't disappoint. Wes is doing a really, really good job. I mean, they've got their passion. That's a huge, huge basketball environment, and they're back quickly in there. you know, after the struggles that they had last year. So we knew we were going to have a really good environment, and our guys handled it. I mean, they got off to a good start. The bottom line for us, when we make 3 or more passes, other than just coming down on the break and getting to the rim or throwing it in, we're doing a good job. When we start trying to make things happen too soon, or we try to force the issue and we don't make the next pass, then we're not as good. And we had one tough stretch in that game where we came away empty-handed too many times, and we let them score. And even though we came all the way back, what they've got to understand is always comes down, all right, to the little things, you know, whether it's the blockouts on a free throw. And it was a freak bounce at the end, but we didn't get the ball, right? Like everything you do in practice matters, because you never know when it's going to come up in a game. And, but as far as going into that environment, no question about it. Our guys got better inside of it. They learned, and we've got to build on it.
Hey, Coach, can you kind of talk about the impact of some of these older guys like Noah, Jalen Ingram, and Aaron Cook, and then Braylon, and how they've had an impact kind of on these younger guys, especially some of the ones that, you know, you retain but are still, you know, learning the ropes of college basketball?
Well, I think they have a seriousness about them. I mean, they really do. And PJ Horn and Jackson Etter were our 2 best leaders coming back, in the sense of, you know, what we needed, what the work ethic is like, things of that nature. And these guys have really added to that. And I think you'd have to be blind not to be paying attention to the way these guys are in the gym. And I would say the same with Jabri Abdul-Rahim and Kerry Oquendo. You know, they're both freshman eligible guys, but they're in the gym all the time, you know, and that's a big difference, because what happens is everybody's gung ho for the gym the first couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden it starts to get harder each day. And then you get into the season, and it's a lot easier to back away. And that's not the way this group is. This group is serious about it. And like I said, this group isn't talking about being in the gym. They actually are in the gym, and everybody practices, but it's what you do beyond what's required. And it's the level of work you put into it. Okay. Anybody can walk in the gym and shoot around for an hour, but you're not getting anything done. When you go in there with a purpose, and that's, exactly what Braylon does, what Jalen does, Noah, Aaron, everybody you just mentioned. And our position as coaches is we saw value in those guys, and we saw value not only in what they were, but what they could become. And our job to help build them up is to continue to show that confidence in them, because really at the end of the day, the greatest energy that you get is from the improvements that you make. It's not just from having a good practice or a good game. It's the level of improvement that you continue to make, which drives your energy. And that's what we've got to continue to do, so that these guys will continue to build up as we learn to play together even more.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.